Good. All right. So we will reconvene into open session at 5:36. And there is no action to report that was taken during closed session. So our next item is Pledge of Allegiance, and we have special guests here tonight from students from Oakdale. All right, thank you. Oh, can you push the button on the microphone? Yes. Perfect.
Did that work?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Jennifer Cooper, and I actually work at Ophir Elementary right now, but I worked at Oakdale before. And I invited some students from Oakdale Heights to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Fabulous.
Sure. You go.
You guys ready?
Thank you.
3, 2, 1. Thank you for inviting us to lead your meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. We are students from Oakdale Heights Elementary School.
My name is Dominic Cottrell. My name is Michaela Edwards.
My name is Jacob Nave.
And my name is Esteban Garcia.
Saying the Pledge of Allegiance helps form a connection to our country, the United States of America.
We are a diverse country with a diverse population.
Saying the Pledge of Allegiance instills a sense of patriotism for all people.
When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we honor the flag and everything it represents.
We say the Pledge of Allegiance to start our day at school, to begin official meetings or ceremonies, and even at special events like ball games.
We would like you to lead in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Salute.
Pledge.
Pledge.
I
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America
and to the republic of which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here and leading us in the pledge.
Thank you for giving me.
Fabulous. And we look forward to other students coming at future meetings to lead us in the pledge as well. Great.
And families, if you would like to grab your students, you're free to stay or you're free to go. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, comment session. Comments and announcements by board members. I would just like to start by saying that March is Reading Awareness Month, and Read Across America has been recognized by several of our schools in the past week or two. And I had the opportunity of a reading at Ophir, and it's really exciting. And I'd just like to just take a moment to thank our teachers and our instructional aides and other support staff that are teaching our children to read, encouraging our children to read, reading with our children, reading to our children, and our parents who are reading with their kids, reading to their kids, and being role models by reading with their kids. And I'd like to encourage everyone to pick up a new book this month, to join our kids who are reading more and read some more yourself. So happy Reading Awareness Month. Lisa.
I just want to say I'm just so happy for the kids that came and stood here and recited the Pledge of Allegiance. It just goes to show that, you know, we still hold the flag high in the schools as well. And I just last night we attended the school climate advisory board, and you know, the numbers, we are doing a very good job with the numbers for the DOJ. So, you know, congrats to all those that are, you know, really participating and doing the work that needs to be done. And Lauren did a great job with rhetorical questions and explaining all the stuff that needs to be done. So, you know, I just want to thank her for her time, and Janet, your time as well.
Jessica.
I was also able to, I had the opportunity to read to several classrooms at Ophir, and a huge thanks to the PTO over at Ophir for putting on such a great event and providing a space for us readers to go and coffee and scheduling us in all of the different places we had to be. The kids were really, really good having to sit and listen, and they were very attentive and excited. And I have to share a short little story. I asked my kids if I was allowed to read in their classrooms, asking for their permission. And my first grader said, yes, absolutely. And my fourth grader was like, no, thanks. So I respectfully declined. And then as I approached my first classroom, I looked down and it was his classroom. So I walked in and did not make eye contact with anyone. And I sat down and I read the story to the fourth graders. But it was very fun. So thank you for allowing me to have that opportunity. That was really cool. I read in Mrs. Anglin's kindergarten class. And then lastly, my kids and I and other groups of kids have been doing a lot of exploration after school because the days are getting longer. So we're going on micro adventures and mini walks and other places, and tying this into the summer school program that we're hopefully gaining traction on. Fourth graders are able to get a free pass to state parks. So if you know anybody who has a fourth grader, tell them to sign up for the adventure pass because they can get into state parks for free and explore things that are going on. So
Thank you.
that's what I have.
Sandra.
I would just like to welcome Mr. O'Brien back. It's good to see you. And congratulate Miss Janet for her upcoming retirement.
And Bill.
I just want to thank the teacher and the children that showed up. This was the second time this week that I've had the opportunity to experience the flag salute with the kids from the school. And it's a really nice thing that they do. And I'd like to, if this continues, to possibly have, with the board's support, have some sort of recognition for them each time that they do it, a small certificate or something like that, because I know as young people, sometimes it's very difficult to get up in front of others and speak. And it does take a little bit of preparation to get this done. And I recognize the teacher's extra effort. I think if I remember correctly, she is the same teacher that's shown up not only at city council meetings, but at our meetings as well. So I know she's putting in extra effort to make sure the kids get that exposure. And that's a very good thing. I just want to recognize her for her work and dedication to that, because I'm not sure there's any compensation included. I think it's just, she's doing it because it's probably the best thing for the kids.
All right. Thank you. All right. Now comments and announcements by our admins. Dr. Holtum.
Thank you, President. I also have had the opportunity to read at several schools for Read Across America. I was at Ophir. Tomorrow I'm going to be in a Wyandotte class reading, and I love the opportunity to be in our classrooms and share my passion and love for reading and storytelling. Also like to welcome Mr. O'Brien back. It's a big deal to have him back and fully healthy. So look forward to hearing from you this evening. Also like to acknowledge last week we had a meeting with our DOJ monitor and several members of our community. And our community was very impressed with not only the things that our monitor had to share after a 3-day visit in all of our schools, but our data is trending in a great direction. Data doesn't tell the whole story, and that's why those classroom visits are also important. We're not perfect. We always have room to grow. But I can tell you that I feel like we are absolutely moving in the right direction. And it's through a lot of leadership from everyone who is a part of our staff here in the Oroville City Elementary School District. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Andrew James.
Good evening. I wanted to take a moment to thank our IT team, John Damone, Chris Murphy, and Garrett Hartman. They've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes and been working on some implementations of products and software and things. Seems like a lot all of a sudden, but they've been working really hard, and I wanted to thank them. Other thing, we're working on rolling out a customer service training module for some of our staff who face or public facing staff. So for clerical staff things, and Tina Pickering, who also does our Subcalling is sort of the lead on that. She's been one of these people that has that great customer service skill, that skill set that she learned through private sector work in the past. So we're hopeful that with her kind of leading the way, and we've purchased some different programs for people to watch and participate in, that will really be able to bring, some next level customer service to all of our offices.
Great, thank you. Janet Hanley.
Thank you. I have just a couple of announcements. First announcement is that we do have a DLAC meeting on April 4th from 4:30 to 5:30 at Wyandotte. Our next supportive school committee is April 25th. Everybody is welcome to attend. We appreciate anybody willing to come. So if you could contact my secretary and let her know, just so that we can get a good food count. And our LCAP season is upon us, and we are working on meeting with different groups. There's a parent meeting on March 16th and March 30th for parents that we encourage them to come, and it is at the studios in room 24. And I believe we start at 5:00. And then we do have another DOJ visit that will be happening in April. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item C, comments by the public. At this time, the board will extend an invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on matters which are school related. For those attending remotely who wish to comment, use the raise your hand button to be called on to speak. Comments or questions may also be emailed to backpack@ocesd.net. Please include your first and last name in your email. Comments and questions received will be read into the record and or addressed during the meeting. However, comments received without the sender's name will not be shared during the meeting. Do we have any emails to read on public comments?
No, we do not.
Okay, and anyone with raised hands online?
No.
Okay, anyone from the public here that would like to speak? Okay, please come forward. And state your name, please.
Hi, my name is Van Tao. Can I
Go
continue?
ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to let all the board members know that my children were continuously bullied. I've contacted the school and they said it's been resolved, but it continued to happen. I continue to call the staffs before somebody actually calls me back and tell me about all of the bullying incidents. As a parent, I am very concerned about my children's safety, and I've spoken to the principal and the superintendent, and I've decided to transfer my kids to a new school. However, I want the board members to be aware of this, and I'm only asking as a parent to see if there's any changes that can be done to prevent more students from getting bullied. Thank you. And I do have documentations of all my calls and everything that took place that I can give to the rest of you too.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
speaking up. Okay. We will move on to item 6, public hearing session. Item A, new trustee area creation pre-map hearing number 2.
So the consultant from King is not here tonight. He'll be with us on all the rest of our board meetings. This is the second of 2 public hearings regarding input prior to having maps available to look at. So we elicited feedback from the community. I've sent out messages on social media and on the website and things, and have not gotten any response. But if there was any public comment about how to divide up the trustee areas prior to making maps, now would be the time to get that out. I know in one conversation I recently had, it was discussed about perhaps the trustee areas could sort of mimic where the elementary schools areas are. So you could potentially, especially if you're going to have one at-large trustee, you could have perhaps an OFER-ish area, because obviously census data and student data are going to be different because student populations live in different areas than just all people but you could have an Ophir area, an Oakdale area, Wyandotte area, and a Stanford area trustee. It might kind of make sense for what we're doing. So that was one idea that I had been discussing with somebody, but that's all the feedback I have for tonight. We will be progressing through the timeline and getting maps and things for the board. And I think that's going to, when we have those maps, we'll be able to get those to the news and get more people involved, I hope. But we're going to continue to hammer those as we get them.
Okay. And what's the timeline on that for getting the first maps?
Let me tell you, it's on our website.
Okay.
So April 19th, there will be a presentation of the draft trustee area maps.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions or discussion from the board? Okay, thank you, Andrew. All right. Item B, arts, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant plan.
Okay, so the arts, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant plan is a entitlement the state has given us, not a real grant, where they've given us some very specific guidelines as to how the money can be spent. But in addition to that, they also wanted us to have a plan that we approved on how we're going to align with the 5 areas of expenditure. So the plan that we presenting tonight is for the $1.2 million of the arts, music, and instructional materials block grant plan. And it's also going to show up later for adoption because the CDE didn't give any specific guidelines, though the way it was written sort of sounded like it needed a public hearing and an adoption, but they wouldn't commit to anything, which was helpful. So the plan that we're laying out before you is to use those funds to renovate the locker rooms that are currently not in use at Central. One side would be for the dance studio. Other side would be to be determined, probably PE. So in basically two classrooms, but they're unique instructional space because they're not, they're on windows and things. But we'd take out all the lockers and flatten the floors out. The second priority on the list is I believe it's a science adoption that's coming up next year. And then the third is any remaining funds used towards our OPEB fund. Interestingly, OPEB was explicitly written into one of the expenditure possibilities from the CDE for this arts and music and instructional materials block grant. So we included that as a kind of a catch-all. If these two things, which should spend all that money, don't, then we can put it there. But so this is the plan we're putting together or put together to present to you for how we feel we could best spend this money. There is some confusion about what this money is. We had that Prop 29, where we are earmarking money for arts and music in the classrooms. That's not this money. This is
in addition to.
This was before that. That's for, started this year. That Prop 29 money will start next year. And that will be very, that's going to be a site by site money like Title I is. And that will be a lot more explicit on what they can spend it on. But I don't think it's going to require any board approval. It'll just require a site council type of approval. So this, having the two kinds of money out there, and I do expect that this next year, the arts, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant will return in some form, very much smaller, but we'll see what that means. So,
okay.
Any
Thank
questions
you.
about the arts, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant plan?
No questions or comments from the board? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you. Item C is the independent auditor's report of Oroville City Elementary School District financials as of June 30th, 2022.
So our audit was on extension. Our audit partner that was auditing left the firm, and I think there was also a death in the firm. So we were on extension again. But Chavan and Associates do a very good job. I've worked with a lot of different audit firms. And I feel like the audit was thorough and complete. They needled us all the places to needle us. They followed the audit guide as best that I can tell. And we had no findings this year. So that is the public hearing. You know, the questions about the audit. I believe you all should have a copy of it for you to take home and read there.
I just want to say congratulations on the audit with no findings. I think this is the first time that we've had it because there'd been that pesky one finding that just seemed to keep coming every single year regarding the student store.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, however that was resolved, I'm really glad to see that you guys were able to do that. And we have a completely clean audit. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I think part of it has to do with, you know, I'm now required to do the accounting for ASB that we report to the auditor, and also working with those sites. They've really gotten any of the deficiencies cleaned up. So it was definitely a team effort to get rid of those pesky findings that are pretty commonplace in school district audits.
Any other comments from the board or questions? All right, thank you. And we'll move on to our 7 action session, public comments on action items. The board will extend an invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on items that are listed on the agenda. For those attending remotely who wish to comment, use the raise your hand button to be called on to speak. Comments may also be emailed to backpack@ocsd.net. Please include your first and last name in your email. Comments received that pertain to items listed on the agenda will be read into record during this time. However, comments received without the sender's name will not be read. The Brown Act does not allow the governing board member to discuss or take action on any item that is not on the posted agenda. Do we have any emails to read?
No, we do not.
Okay. Any raised hands on our live feed?
No.
Okay. Anyone from the audience who wishes to speak on agenda items? Okay. So we will move on to item 8, consent agenda. Is there any discussion or questions on the consent agenda items from the board? Okay, if it all looks good, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second to approve?
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Move on to item 9, new business. A, approve memorandum of understanding with the California School Employees Association Health Assistant 1.
Through the CFIRE process with the district and CSEA, we are bringing forward and asking the board to approve a MOU with the California Schools Employees Association for our health assistants. What this was prior to COVID, most of these positions were 3.5 to 4 hours during the day. With COVID, we bumped these positions up to 8 hours a day because they were doing so much work with the COVID process, calling families and taking care of the daily issues that health aides take care of. Now that the pandemic is over, we see that they are an incredibly valued, and they've always been an incredibly valued member of the office staff. But instead of bumping them back down to 4 hours and leaving the health office open or unattended for 2 hours each day, we'd like to move them to 6 hours so that they're there from the beginning of the day to the end. Many reasons for this. Number one, when we had 4-hour aides, it put a lot of undue pressure on the rest of the office staff to take care of those students that were coming in that needed Band-Aids or temperatures or phone calls home. Additionally, we have a number of students that are diabetic and things of that nature that require a lot of support during the day. And so it's our recommendation that the board approve this MOU for them to be a 6-hour position. And like I shared earlier, basically start at the beginning of the day and end when school is dismissed.
Any discussion or questions from the board on this item? Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the MOU for the health assistant one?
So moved.
Is there a second? All right, any discussion, questions? All in favor? Oh, go ahead.
I'd just like to thank you for doing this on behalf of all the staff.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Okay, item B, adopt revised board policy.
So this is a adopted board policy. We're not making a lot of changes, just changing some language as it pertains to CSEA members that are on probationary status. The most important piece of this is not changing, which is the length of time that they're on new staff members in classified have 6 months or 100 and I believe 30 days. And that is all staying the same. We're just changing a few and updating some of the language. So no big changes here.
Okay, any discussion or questions from the board? Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to adopt the revised board policy? Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item 10, business and finance. Accept auditor's 2021-22 financial report for the Oroville City Elementary School District. So this is the item that Andrew presented earlier. We didn't have any discussion at that time, but we do have to accept it, or we have to vote to accept it. Is there any further discussion or questions on that item? Okay, is there a motion to accept the auditor's findings?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay, we'll move to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Okay. Item B, approved 2022-23 second interim budget adjustments and financial report.
So the second interim budget is the third version of the budget you'll see for the year. There was original budget in May, which was based on a lot of assumptions. You had the first interim budget in December that really was your budget. It had your actual beginning balance and all updated information. This is simply an update to the first interim budget. So anything that's changed between December and now, here it is. And I'll walk you through it. It's pretty, the changes this year are pretty minor in between budgets. And typically it's just updating revenue projections and expense projections where needed. So some of the key things, we updated the special education revenue and expense projections. Our SELPA regularly updates the bill back amounts, the amount of federal and state revenue that we're going to be receiving. So those are all updated in addition to the amounts of bill backs that we send out to the districts for participation in our programs in our district, because we do charge other districts for using our programs. So those numbers are updated. And additionally, when the governor came out with his January budget, the only real features that we picked up to use were the new COLAs that he presented, which was the 8.13 for next year and the 3.54% for the following year, which were both increases. And we're hopeful that those are funded. So those are the major changes. The other thing I wanted to point out, and this was in the first interim budget, and we talked about OPEB a meeting ago. In the budget for next year is $4 million to go into the OPEB fund, which would fund our entire liability for post-employment benefits, which is when an employee retires and we pay for their health care benefits until they reach 65. And of course, they have to meet certain eligibility requirements. This is that liability. So I'm not, this isn't you approving the OPEB this time. The next budget it will be, because that will be the budget it's included in. But I wanted to call this out because it's something that we talked about last time. And I want you to fully grasp before we, if you wanted me to change course or something, or let Spencer know, we can change. But we do have funds that we've been able to kind of pull out of some of the strategic use of COVID funds for things like this. This would be a one-time put money into this Fund 20 OPEB fund. And then it wouldn't be, it would be there if we needed to ever borrow cash against it, like the other funds, or if there was really a dark time, we could get the funds back out of that fund. We would have to go through the board for that. But this is in this budget. I wanted to make sure you are aware and have the number and are seeing it, and we can discuss it. But I want you to be thinking about OPEB and make sure that that's a direction we want to go. I think for Oroville City Elementary, when I started here, Oroville Elementary had gone through some very difficult fiscal times, very, very difficult times at Oroville Elementary. And hopefully this will be a big step in the other direction where we're able to be more resilient. And when things do go bad, we'll have some other resources to use to kind of stem the tide, as it were, when things, do eventually go south, which is just sort of the nature of the economy of ebbing and flowing. So that was the one thing I wanted to call out, other than the couple of updates. And that's pretty much the complete second interim budget. It's, again, just an update to first interim.
There are comments or questions from the board?
Andrew, thank you for this. I look very optimistically about hearing more about the OPEB. My question is, you mentioned it starts until they reach age 65, when presumably Medicare kicks in?
Yes, it's in the two collective bargaining contracts. They have a benefit in their contracts that says if you do X, Y, and Z and work here for X number of years, if you retire at this age, between this age and this age, you get a district paid health benefit contribution to an amount that's described in each of the different contracts. It's different for both units, but it is there for both units. And at 65, classically, you pick up Medi-Cal, and that's why those typically end at 65. And the language in our contracts ends at 65. There are contracts that don't, that just continue indefinitely, which are very expensive, obviously, because you're, looking at how many years is that really? But our contracts, using contract language, end at 65.
And is that for just certificated or for classified as well?
They both have a similar program. They both have a way to get health benefits in that span of time. Typically from 55 to 65 is typically the window. But they both have different eligibility requirements. So I can't describe to you the exact eligibility requirements for both. But it's a certain number of years you worked in the district. I know with certificated, you have to have a certain number of units. And they're, those are kind of the basis of the different requirements. So yeah, they both have it. It's just different in both, but they both end at 65.
That's great. Genius level application. Thank you.
Well, and I'm glad to hear that we're setting ourselves up to fulfill the contract that we've agreed to, that we're telling our staff that we will provide this. Now we have the money set aside specifically for it.
Right. And what this represents is if something happened, let's say the district went bankrupt suddenly, this money would still be set aside to pay the people's retiree health benefits when they retire. It's all set aside.
Okay.
Right. It's paid for. So we don't have to have that. There's not that risk for employees that if as an agency we somehow collapsed, that money would be gone.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right. Thank you. Is this an action item? So we need to, we do need to approve the second interim budget adjustments and financial report. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion or questions from the board? Okay, I'll move to the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Okay, item 11, curriculum and instruction. Item A, approve contracts with WestEd for 22-23 and 23-24.
So Jessica North has been working with her school site, Stanford Avenue, while Patrick was on leave. And they have been working with West Ed in terms of developing a contract that will be working with their community. So Jessica's here tonight to describe what the contract is and the work that they'll be doing for the next 3 years. So Jessica?
And before Jessica comes up, well, you can come on up, but I wanted to remind the board that when we talked in our study session several months ago, one of our emphasis is the involvement that we have with our community and our parents. And so we've been looking at different programs, and we thought that when Stanford came to me and said, "Hey, can we do this?" I said, "This would be great." And so we're really excited to hear the presentation and then see the work that they do. And then if it's as successful as we hope it's going to be, that maybe we can replicate it throughout the district.
Wow, set me up for success there. Hi, my name is Jessica North. I'm currently at Stanford Avenue School. I've been there for over 25 years. Recently, we absorbed Bird Street School in 2017 after the Camp Fire. And then we were kind of in this transition state of healing and transitioning. We changed leadership a couple times, and then COVID hit. And as we all know, that trauma that ensued from there. And now we're kind of back in our first year of normalcy. And I'm seeing that we're implementing our SEL strategies. That's definitely embedded in our curriculum. We have shifted to restorative justice. That's embedded. It's working. It's helping. What we're missing, the key piece that we're missing, is our family engagement. And so one of our interim principals came to us with this program that he had utilized in his old district, and he said it was a game changer. So I met with the gal, we did as a staff, and we drank the Kool-Aid immediately, because it's a program out of West Ed, which is a completely reputable database. And basically they engage families in a very fun way. A lot of times as a teacher, I've noticed that parents come to us with their affective filter very high, because generally their schooling wasn't maybe the happiest. They feel threatened, or they're going to be judged. This is nothing but it's engaging the parents in data around their students' data, and then giving them a tool, a game to engage with their kids, instead of some big homework packet that they're fighting with their kids after their sports game. It's a game, so they're engaged, there's discussion. And then we have talked about in our trainings with them, or our initial little overviews with them, how we would like to bring the restorative practices to them and those questions and that language at home, so that we could have that being engaged at home as well as at school, so we can make that connection. So one of the things we're finding is that parents are either reluctant, they don't know how to participate, or they feel judged, like I said. And so we want to make the teachers be confident and empowered to show these parents that we want them to be an active participant in their child's learning, and that they are an essential component to their child's learning. And I have been in this district for so long. Some of the parents that are coming to our school, I actually had in my class. So it's been really exciting to bring this to some of them. They're very excited about it. And this, you can kind of keep, if you want to just kind of scroll. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Yes, you can just keep going through it, because it basically just is their approach to, this is, go to another one. One more. Okay, so they just want to integrate family engagement, build the teacher confidence, make everybody feel welcome. But what I really like about this is that it's surrounded around academic achievement. So we've focused a lot on the SEL. We've focused a lot on the restorative justice. We need to get back to academics, and we need these kids to start growing and learning academically. Keep going, one more. Okay, so this is kind of the model I wanted to show you. Here's how the cycles go. We have early fall, we have a team meeting for 75 minutes. That's where we probably will make it festive. We'll offer some food. And then the teachers, the parents will go break out into either the grade level or classroom. Right now, we're going to start out with grade levels. The grade levels will give the parents a piece of data from their student. They will look at the data. They will give them some kind of game or activity around that specific data. Especially we're thinking of starting with math. Parents are very intimidated about math. So we want to give them something doable for them. And then they come back in that team meeting too. They receive that data again, and they see the growth, and they set more goals for the team meeting 3. And there's also an individual meeting in there, which is basically kind of like parent-teacher conferences as well. So you do that for a whole cycle. So our first cycle, we would be doing 1 cycle for this rest of this year. So we're trying to get 1 parent night in. And then the next year we want to do the whole cycle. And then after that, we're hoping we would have the tools to be able to continue doing the cycles and maybe only need a few coaching sessions here and there. So that's about it. Any questions?
How will the parent night go? Is that just one time per year?
It's 3 times per year.
3 times. Okay. And
Yes. And it's after school. It's basically like, so we're planning on having, like, we still haven't had the grade level planning with the coaching. I'm hoping that they're going to give us a lot of resources and ideas, but we already have a lot of our own. We want to incorporate food. We want to incorporate childcare. I have a call into the high school. I have a few high school teacher friends that I was thinking we could get some of those students to come in, maybe do some childcare. I'm going to talk to some local vendors, maybe get some food in and have some of that component going. And then they break out into their grade level sessions to make it. We want it to be fun. We want it to be festive, but we want it to be engaging around academic success.
Is this all going to be based on just who volunteers to come? Like, we hope you can make it.
So that is, as far as parents.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is going to be one of our biggest challenges. And, but this program is, tried and true. She's worked in nothing but Title I schools. This is her whole thesis. And she's worked a lot. She's based out of Oakland, and, she promises results. And, I know for me, like I said, I engage with parents really well. I'm seeing hungry parents. They want their kids to succeed, and they want to figure out how to make this better. And so I really think that we have 100% buy-in on our staff.
Wow.
And so if we have 100% buy-in, we're going to have parents show up.
Have you talked with any other schools that have used this program to hear their success stories?
Yeah. So I haven't personally talked. I've seen the, success stories from the different trainings that we had. We've had 2 or just kind of overview trainings. And I've seen parent testimonials. And what I really liked about it was that how parents got together with other parents. So maybe the first meeting wasn't as huge as they wanted. After the second meeting, after parents started talking with each other, they wanted that. They saw that data. They saw, oh, Johnny grew this much. Well, they get a little competitive too. So it's Wested, and it's a really successful. Oh, and I have talked to Mr. Tracy. He was implemented in Hamilton and said it was a game changer. Okay. Yeah.
What's your time frame? Like what time do you plan on starting this after school?
So our first training would be April 5th. It's a 3-hour training, and it's a minimum day. It's a minimum day for our OETA, and I got 100% buy-in from my staff to use that day. And then the other one is 90-minute grade level trainings. So that's going to be April 19th, I believe. We're going to do a spring carnival and let the grade levels go through the spring carnival while those teachers go out and incorporate our PTC while those teachers go do their grade level planning. And then our first APTT night is going to be May 18th. And that would just be for this cycle. So then we would calendar the dates for the next cycle as we continue.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Sounds like an exciting opportunity and I'm looking forward to hearing how it goes.
Okay, great. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Do we need to, is this an action item?
This is an action item for the contract.
This is item A. Okay, so we do need to act on this. Is there a motion to approve the contract with West Ed?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right. Any further comments or questions?
I think this is a great idea. Anything to entice the parents to become involved with their children, even if we have to have a raffle. I mean, of a TV or
Incentive.
something silly just to get them there. If we can get them through the door in the seat and get them engaged, I think it's a
And I'm excited the opportunity to move it to all the other schools.
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I'd like to know the dates, just so that I,
come by.
yeah,
Check it out.
I'm a
Yeah.
parent. I want to see what's, and it concerns me that people feel that they are judged in that regard. So a judgment-free environment and getting the people back to the school after school's been out and breaking those barriers. So
I'm wondering if you may consider introducing it to the parents doing parent-teacher conference. That way you have a captive audience,
Like next year or?
just whenever. If you have a sit down with a parent, just, yeah,
Right.
put out that application or the pamphlet or the, promotional material.
yeah, make it more of a special invitation. An individual invitation, make it special, specific to each student and their family.
I love that. That's a great idea.
It's truly next level. This program is next level. It's the next evolution to what we're trying to do.
Mm.
I like it.
All right, so let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. All right, item B is to adopt OCESD's Art, Music, and Instructional Materials Discretionary Block Grant Plan.
This is the plan I presented earlier. And I would hope you would consider approving it.
All right. Any questions or discussion on this? We discussed it earlier. So is there a motion to adopt the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Discretionary Block Grant Plan?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Okay, item 12, personnel. A, consider request for unpaid leave of absence.
As I discussed with you earlier, the next 2 items are classified staff within our district that are requesting unpaid leaves so that they can do their student teaching within our district.
Okay, any discussion or questions from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve? Can we do them together? Do we need to approve them separately?
I think you need.
Okay, so need a motion to approve the leave of absence, unpaid leave of absence for employee number 1885.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. And now we need a motion to approve the request for employee number 2044.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I just like to congratulate both of these individuals, their achievements.
Yes.
I wish
Alright.
them the best of luck.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting at 6:26. Thank you.